Alright, this is it. This is Kark. I'm back once again for the Ultimate Showdown. This is the penultimate moment in the Dark Souls 2 game. At this point, we've returned to the bottom area of Castle Draengleic, and we've opened the door, the King's Door, to go to the Throne of Want. Before we proceed too much farther, there is one new visitor to this area. That's right, the Emerald Herald has appeared here as well. Let's see what she has to say.
My journey is already complete. My name is Shanalot. The dragon gave me this name, for I was born with none. I was born of dragons, contrived by men, by ones who would cozen fate herself. They are the ones who created me. But they failed. I did not come out as intended. Fate would not be bested, and men were cursed once again. If you proceed, Nashandra will come after you, knowing that you will take the throne and link the fire. She covets the first flame and the great soul. Put Nashandra to rest.
And there you have it. Again, essentially she's very related to the dragon. She says she was created by dragons. Throne of One. And that her goal was obviously to put an end to the undead curse, which has been repeating itself over and over since Dark Souls 1, and theoretically speaking, if you really want to say it, since Demon Souls. So she's the one who essentially ultimately convinced you to come here. She's the one that gave you the visions and led you to this place. And the whole reason for leading you here is, just like in Dark Souls 1, you're here to supplant the king and you're here to take over. That's what your goal is supposed to be. You're supposed to start the new kingdom. She mentions the first flame. You never actually encounter the first flame in this game. So I'm going to be a little irritated if there's no summon signs down here. I mean, I've always got my buddy Bernhard of Jugo. I'd rather summon Ernest than Bernhard of Jugo, since I can't do Bernhard's quest. And you've got Head of Vengarl, who he's a beastly dude. I'll give it a moment to see if anybody else shows up. But as she said, Nashandra, the queen of Draengleic, who I told you probably don't want to trust from right back from the very beginning. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and summon Vengarl. Look, I do have the stats for my stick now. Nashandra was basically out to get you, and she's betrayed you, and she's probably not trustworthy, and so on and so forth, and all that's true. And here we go. I don't know why I'm pre-enchanting, since I am going to watch the cutscene, but oh well. This is it, the final boss of Dark Souls 2, Nashandra, who is supposedly a fragment of that guy you kill in the DLC of Dark Souls 1.
Brave undead. You have proven yourself to me.
That's kind of disturbing.
Now, be one with the dark.
So yeah, she's not quite as pretty in her true form. The key to this fight is first, wait. Don't do anything. Okay, then once you see these weird, poofy... How did I get cursed? Holy crap. It's fine, it doesn't really matter. Once you see these weird, poofy poof things, you just unload on it. Well, you unload on the weird poofy poof things. Apparently only the host can be cursed. That'd be great if you could heal up, Ernest. If you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. That's dangerous. You need to dodge that one if she does it. Oh, crap. More damage sucks and she's summoning one of those things. These things are what curses you. Vengarl's just getting his ass whipped. What are you doing, Vengarl? And that's it. That's a wrap. Nashandra is down. Dark Souls 2 is completed, and it's time for the victory dance. That's right. You knew I had a channeler's trident for a reason, didn't you? It's all over now. Dark Souls 2 has been beaten. This is August the 2nd, roughly around 10 a.m. Man, that chews up some durability, but I don't care. That was the last boss. Now, all that remains is to take your proverbial throne. I'm going to take off my hat for taking my throne, though. I'm not going to do it as a zombie. And, of course, there's the DLC. But now we take the throne of want, using the giant's kinship, which we took from the giant lord. The giant's kinship being used to control these golems, because Vendrick learned to control the golems from the giants. And look at the golems; they've got the one hole in the center, just like the giants. One could philosophize that these golems here, in this case, since they're not like the golems in the castle proper, may not actually be typical golems, and they may be fossilized giants.
You who link the fire. You who bear the curse. Once the fire is linked, souls will flourish anew, and all of this will play out again. It is your choice. To embrace or renounce this. Great Sovereign, take your throne. What lies ahead, only you can see.
The character actually has a pretty hardcore look on his face right there. And yeah, that's it. That's Dark Souls. No alternate ending this time. No good, bad guy. No like the fire, don't like the fire. It clearly talks about the first flame. When you talk to Shanalot, the Emerald Herald there, not to be confused with Shantoto, psychotic midget from Final Fantasy XIV, or Final Fantasy XI for that matter. It's literally the first time the first flame is even mentioned in this game. There's little hints and allusions, like the fact that there's broken pieces of the Lord Vessel, or what appears to be the Lord Vessel, in the basement in Majula. But no one ever really comes outright and talks about it. I mean, there's the four great souls. You're linking primal bonfires, and you're linking bonfires in general. But you never actually see the first fire in this game. Maybe it'll show up at the end of the DLCs. We don't know. There's 3 DLC planned. Right now they've released the Sunken King DLC, which I will be playing through. It's going to be hard to resist not doing it as soon as this recording is over, to be honest. But I'll see what I can do on that front. I've still got some editing to go. At this point, I've finished all the videos except, just to give you an idea, I finished editing on all videos except the Dragonary, Dragon Shrine, the Giant Memories, the King Vendrick kill, and obviously this video. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions. Dark Souls 2 is to me, it's the better Dark Souls game. I think it is superior to Dark Souls 1. And there's a lot of reasons I feel that way. It's more direct in many ways. Like, it's not trying to be as ambiguous or silly or hidden about a lot of its lore. It's much more honest and upfront with it. And so you can believe a lot more of what some NPCs say, you know, and the item descriptions aren't quite as vague, purposefully vague. But at the same time, unlike Dark Souls 1, it leaves a lot of unanswered questions. Like, it throws ideas out there, and it's straightforward with them, such as lighting the first fire, like the Emerald Herald right there tells you, light the fire, don't light the fire, it's up to you, only you can see what's next. And I kind of like this ending in the respect that it doesn't try to put a canon on the game. Like, it's hard to create a sequel to Dark Souls 1 when the ending could have been you link the fires and the cycle repeats, or you don't link the fires and the world is plunged into darkness. By the way, is the world being plunged into darkness even necessarily a bad thing? I mean, let's think about what the Darkstalkers tell you. Darkstalker Cave, I believe, straight up tells you that that's what Vendrick was supposed to do. Or not Vendrick, but that's what Gwyn was supposed to do. And that Gwyn betrayed him and all this stuff. Grave Warden Agadyne in this game will tell you that originally the humans were one with the dark. And it's the humans who did all this nonsense bringing light into the world. And they're the ones who screwed it up. And in reality, the actual state of the world is dark. And that we're the ones who are screwing it up and causing all these problems by trying to resist that. So I mean, you don't really know. I mean, was linking the first fire in the first game really the right thing to do? Was it the wrong thing to do? You don't know. Not really. We're going to have to assume, based on the fact that Dark Souls 2 exists, they did link the first fire in the first game. But at the same time, is that really proof that they did link it? Because there's really no guarantee that not linking the first fire destroys the world. Draengleic here has clearly fallen into darkness. When you get to the end and you finally meet King Vendrick, he's not like Gwyn. Gwyn was hollowed out too, but he was at least still guarding the first fire, and he was aggressive, and he was still Gwyn, you know. Vendrick is not the same. He's a hollow. He's sitting in the middle of nowhere, doing nothing, doesn't even defend himself at first, doesn't try to stop you from taking his ring. He's literally given up, and he's done. So the world has gone into darkness, at least insofar as Draengleic, the world is in darkness. The first fire is clearly not lit here. So, again, is falling into darkness really that bad a thing? And could the world continue and the cycle continue even if you don't link the first fire? I think it could. First fire. I think it could. But at least up to this point, the game only mentions it, as I said at the very end, as sort of an abstract idea, and doesn't really tell you whether you do or don't. And there's no optional ending this time, which, as I say, is a good thing, because in Dark Souls 1 it's hard to write a sequel to that because you don't know what the player did. In this game, you know what happened. The player took the Throne of Want, which is what I believe Gwyn stole from the Giants, as talking to a logger and other lore things you run into in the game indicate that ultimately Gwyn met Nashandra, who washed up on the shore. Nashandra being a soul fragment of what's-his-face, that guy from the DLC, the final enemy you fight there, who many people suspect is the original pygmy grown up and all crazy. And she's basically a fragment of that soul. She washed up on shore here in Draengleic. The king met her, fell for her, what have you. Maybe got manipulated into it. And then she's the one who convinced him to attack the Giants. And he went and attacked the Giants, and he stole the power of the Giants, quote unquote. Well, what's the power of the Giants? Was it the giant's kinship? Well, if he stole the giant's kinship, why did the giant lord have it? Because the giant lord clearly was still in the process of attacking the fortress. He was attacking the fortress at the Forest of Giants. He wasn't attacking Vendrick himself. He never got to Vendrick. So I don't think Vendrick ever had the giant's kinship. I think he stole the Throne of Orm, but I don't think he can necessarily use it. I don't know. But it's clear the first fire is not here. But it's somewhere. And here we are back in Majula. What, did you think we were going to go to New Game Plus or something? If you do want to go to New Game Plus, there you go. Begin Journey 2 to Draengleic. One thing that's important to call out real quick is now that you've beaten the entire game.
Away. What would you like?
A few things have changed.
Well,
No, just tell me what you're selling. She now sells infinite chunks. All this stuff she already had as a result of getting to Castle Draengleic and I think beating the Looking Glass Knight. She gets all this stuff. She originally sold 3 Tight Twinkling and 3 Dragon Bones, but she now has infinite chunks too. So yeah, pretty much the only thing you can't get infinite of is slabs, but as I've already said, there's a lot of mobs you can farm slabs off of in this game. Heck, I have 6 right now. So that's kind of an important thing to call out. So for those of you who are light on chunks, she's a great way to get chunks. And as you can see, I am wearing the king's booties. I can wear the king's crown too, but I don't want to because it looks silly. It looks silly. I don't like it. I've got that little forelock hanging down in front of my face. This helmet actually looks pretty badass with it, but I'm going to stick to my classic Royal Swordsman helmet. So that's basically it for Dark Souls 2. The DLC is next. I'm really looking forward to that DLC. I'm glad to finally be able to get to do it. One thing I will say when I do the DLC, I'm going to try to do that offline because that's the way I think you should originally play Dark Souls 2. I'll post a final death count up here because I'm not totally sure what it was. I know I died once in the... Let me think, because I haven't edited those videos yet. I don't die in the Dragon Memory, or in the Giant Memories. I don't die at the Dragon Shrine. I do die once in the Dragon area due to a messed up jump. So I think that would have put me at death 53, and I died twice trying to kill King Vendrick. So I think the game is going to end at 55 deaths for the run. I'll confirm that with a count in the corner here at this point. I am sorry I've been rambling on a lot about nonsense. But that's where I think the game's going to end. I really do appreciate everyone who has stuck with it and watched it. I know it's not gotten a ton of views, and that's okay. I don't care. I do this stuff for fun and for my own personal enjoyment. But I do appreciate everyone who has sat through and watched the whole thing. I hope it's been enjoyable, at least most of the time, to those of you who have. And I will see you very shortly in the DLC.